All right, super pumped about this episode. I had the opportunity to sit down and freak out while dreaming of what it would be like to be a stuntman. Every kid from my generation had this dream of this stuntman lifestyle. And in the new generation, you've seen Hot Rod. Well, Antal is a real life stuntman and stunt double, stunt coordinator, doing all that kind of crazy stuff. But he was gracious enough to let us chill in his backyard while we talk about the ins and outs of doing the world's coolest job. Antal and his family are super cool, and they actually own a diesel-powered Scout 80 that we built, and they get out and use it. So, man, just what a great episode, great talk. Antal, thank you, and thanks for listening. Check it out. This episode is brought to you by our friends at FSR, or Free Spirit Recreation, and I love talking about rooftop tents. It's one of the things I talk about probably more than I should. I really love them, and I know not everyone knows about them or talks about them all the time, but why is that? I think because I make a connection between equipment or gear and easy ways, things that help facilitate and encourage us to get off road, get off into nature, get on adventures. And quite frankly, it's just a really great place to sleep outside of your home. You're up off the ground, great views, great ventilation, and added security. And the new FSR Odyssey is a really amazing tent that Free Spirit Recreation should be proud of. It's a hard shell design that opens from the side as opposed to the rear, all aluminum construction, and it's slim. 7 inches tall total, and seriously, it takes about 90 seconds to set up and break down. My wife and I recently spent about 10 consecutive nights in the Odyssey, and when I went back into a traditional bed and bedroom, I found myself saying, and I actually audibly said this to my wife, I missed the tent. So I missed the Odyssey. So if you're thinking about camping in an adventuring system, check out FSR, Free Spirit Recreation, and they have a series of tents in the High Country and the Odyssey. Check them out. They're amazing things, good quality, and good company. Is it weird to be excited about new tire design? I'm oddly stoked to get more miles in testing on our new Kenda Cleaver AT2s. It's a great solution for a lot of SUVs, light truck, and 4x4 owners. It's in the snow or just about most off-road environments. They're not designed for like hardcore rock crawling or, mud bogging, obviously, but just for all-around trail use and street use, we're super excited about them. The interlocking tread blocks offer great traction, and there's a Kenda optimized system to produce exceptional on-road noise results, meaning they are super quiet. They have a 50,000 mile limited warranty for LT applications and a 60,000 mile warranty for P-metric fitments. That's right, an all-terrain with a 60,000 mile tread guarantee warranty. So anyway, check them out. The new Cleaver ATs. We'll be doing more posts up on them and more testing as the weeks roll on. So check them out. All right, welcome to the New Legend Podcast, where we still are exploring vintage 4x4s, family culture, adventure, and being a man. And today, yes, we're here with a good man, a friendship that's been emerging and growing, Antal Kalik. And today I'm super excited to talk about this because Antal is a stuntman. So we're going to talk about everything to do with the stunt world, like the dark world of stunting.
It can go there.
That's right. But I remember one of my favorite shows growing up was The Fall Guy, Lee Majors, and one of the lines from the opening song was, "'Cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine." And so, is there some truth to that statement?
There's absolutely some truth to that statement. There's a lot of truth to that.
So
I am part of that statement, I guess I could say.
Yeah, so let's kind of dig in a little bit on your story, and I want to also just first off thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Thanks for we have as you can see, we're overlooking the city of Los Angeles, right?
In all its glory.
In all of its glory.
Yes, indeed.
Right off to the left behind Antal is the beach. So this is it's a glorious morning. Good to be here. And I want to talk. You have an awesome family. So we'll talk about your family a little bit and kind of some of the ways that you guys have chosen to embrace some adventure and just new experiences for your family. That's something that I think is awesome. But let's get into the story, man. Did young Antal grow up always wanting to be a stuntman?
People ask me that question. I always say I fell into it.
Oh yeah.
But it's something I want to do since I was a kid. I used to watch Jackie Chan movies and all the action movies back in the 80s, Police Story and all that stuff. And I had no idea this was even a job. I just remember from being a kid, my mom always told me, like when she took me to see Santa, what are you going to do? I'm going to be a stuntman.
Really?
Yeah, since young.
Okay.
So I don't know. I had no idea if you could make money at it, what it could be. As the DVDs and stuff started rolling out, like when I was a teenager.
And this is up in Michigan, right?
I'm from Michigan, yep.
Yeah.
The behind-the-scenes stuff really started, I guess, alerting people to the fact that there was a whole stunt industry behind the movies that we watch. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So like on those DVDs when you see like behind those just behind the scenes footage.
Behind the scenes, like if you watch like I don't know any Tom Cruise movie or whatever.
Yeah.
When they're doing the behind the scenes, you'd see the shadowy figure in the background that kind of looked like Tom and had Tom's clothes on, but they would never really interview that guy. It was somebody was performing something or practicing something. I was like, God, what is that? Like, I want to,
because it's not like really like in high school. It's not like they talk about go be in the STEM field or be a stuntman.
No, there's none of that dialogue at all.
So how did it emerge and evolve? So you had this desire.
Yes.
How did it kind of come?
I tried normal school first for about a year. Wasn't for me.
Meaning like college?
College.
Okay.
Wasn't for me. Small school in Michigan. And then I was getting in a lot of trouble. And one day my parents just sat me down. They're like, what the heck do you want to do with your life? I'm like, I want to be a stuntman. They're like, okay, how does this happen? I don't know. So we started researching. I think the internet was still fairly new. We found 2 schools in the world. One was in Seattle. One was in Australia.
Okay.
Had no money. Couldn't go to Australia. So I decided to load up my Ford Ranger and drive from Michigan to Seattle and enroll in the stunt school. Oh, it was amazing.
2-wheel drive?
2-wheel drive. I think it was like a 94.
Was it a stick, like a 5-speed?
Yeah, I think it was, yes.
Those are classic, man.
Yeah, it was with the camper shell.
So packed up all your camper shell, nice.
Yep, packed up what I had. I think I had $600 in my pocket. Moved from Michigan to Seattle. Did this school, which turned out to be like not exactly what was promised, but I learned a few things. You know what I mean? And
so let me just ask. We're gonna jump around a little bit, but because I think that's such a bold thing. Like, and that's basically exactly what I did. I grew up in Connecticut, super working class, like family. But like one thing I appreciated about my parents, my dad was a 7th. I think he had an 8th grade education. Grew up in Venice, on Venice Beach, like just no dad. Like just quit school, started working, and helped support his sisters and my grandma, and then got into a lot of trouble. Like my dad passed away, God rest his soul. He's a great man, but like over the years I found out like, hey, you have a half brother. Like I'm what? And I got like 6 of those. Wow. So dad was living fast, before he met my mom. But so like he had some adventure. Like he took us camping. He had like a cheap old boat, but like we were doing stuff. But I wonder like if anything in your background, because like when I was 18, I'm like I'm moving out west, and I didn't have a Ford Ranger. I just packed my bags and moved out west. So that what do you think was the conditions in you that like maybe in your upbringing that said like, hey, I'm gonna just pack up the Ranger and go?
I think it was very similar. Upbringing, same thing. Working class parents, amazing salt of the earth type people. Stepdad was like I like to say we put the fun in dysfunctional in my family.
Nice.
I also have 3 stepbrothers, 2 stepbrothers, half brother, half sister.
Yes.
It's an amalgam of different people coming in and out at different times, and we all just kind of made it work. And I guess it was the same type of deal. Just I don't know. Maybe the desire to go out, see something more, do something different, get out of Michigan, look at different options, things like that. There's not a lot of people from Michigan that went out to do this type of thing, like
For sure.
or from Connecticut. I don't know, something about that environment, the blue collar environment, I think, puts a little fire in people. And, and like you say, the upbringing. My stepdad, Bill, who raised me, is, same deal. Rides Harleys.
Yeah.
Goes to Sturgis. A little bit of a, fiery dude.
Yeah.
They call him One Way. And, yeah. Good times.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the question is, your son is how old? 6?
He's 4.
4.
Yeah.
So when he's 18, 19, he says, "Pops, I want to go do this." Can you see yourself being like, "Heck yeah, bro, let's do it"?
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is good.
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
From my parents.
Because a lot of modern parents, man, they like, even though they were raised like, I don't know, like not just whatever. They were raised like with a little more independence, a little more freedom and fire. Like with our helicopter parent, our kids, so be like, so they have no adversity, no challenges.
I think it's the wrong thing. I try to let them make as many mistakes as possible, which is, some people frown at that, but I don't.
On the PW in the backyard.
Exactly, absolutely. Figure it out. There you go.
That's right.
So yeah.
Okay, so you pack up.
Yes.
Quest for headed west.
Headed west. Made it to Seattle. Paid for the school. Did the school. It was more like kind of a adventure camp.
Yeah.
90% of the people that went to the school just did it for fun. To go out and do do a stunt school. We did high falls. We did falling off horses. We rode wires. We rode air rams. Went through glass. We did fights. So there was something kind of cool about the school.
And you think it's just like being like doing like Jackass school?
It's a little bit like that.
But there is there's a lot of technique,
There's
right?
some technique involved as well. Yes. There's some technique. There is equipment that we use that we try to keep ourselves as safe as possible. We try to make it look as dangerous as possible, but if you were to look at the techniques and the equipment used, you would see it is very safe. Yeah.
Okay, and I have some questions about that coming as we move forward in the story. So, what is next? So did you graduate successfully the stunt school?
I guess I did.
What does that mean? Just don't kill yourself or something?
I made it through somehow. There's actually a guy that came to the school. He's kind of a hothead that rolled his car in the middle of the deal, and I don't know what happened to that guy, but yeah, I did it, and then I actually stayed for the second session and learned as much as I could. The owner and I met the owner, Dave Boucher is his name. He let me hang around for the second.
Cool. How long is it? Like,
it's only like a month long.
Really? Okay.
A month, yeah.
Okay.
And they basically take you every day. They'd pick us up in vans, or we could drive there if we had our car. We go to different locations. Like today, we're doing high falls. So we went to like a ranch where the person had a tower, fall off in a bag. You practice all different styles of high falls.
That'd be pretty fun, man.
It was actually. And then the next day, horse ranch. And then he brought us to a place where we were doing drifting and some car stuff. Each place we went to would have a specialist come in from somewhere, usually Canada, Canadian stunt people, to show us stuff.
Interesting.
So it was cool. Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So so I'm guessing it's like, another thing is like, okay, how do you break into the industry?
Yeah, that was it's easier for some than others, especially now, before the stuff that's going on right now. There's so much work going on that younger guys are kind of getting a little bit more fast-tracked into the business.
Interesting.
If young guys come in with a skill, ex-moto guys, ex-fighters, what have you.
Interesting.
There was so much work going on the last 3-4 years that guys are having easier paths. Not taking anything away from the guys that have done that. My path was a little longer. I came in early 2000s, and it took me almost 4 years before I got my first job. And it was networking with the people.
4 years.
4 years.
So you finished stunt school.
Yeah.
And then there's a 4-year period.
For me, there was.
Yeah, and what are you doing?
That I moved to LA.
Okay.
Never been here. Didn't know anybody. That whole deal. Took some time to find my bearings, and then it was like, okay, from some mutual friend, these people introduced me to an actress, a working actress. So she agreed to meet me. I went and met her. She told me, started breaking some things down that she had learned, and said one of the things is there's these stunt services back in early 2000s, before cell phones and everyone carried their computers around. Okay, cool. So I went to this stunt service called Bill's Stunt Service. He's passed as well. God rest his soul. started teaching me about what you need to do
Cool.
to meet the people, get involved with it. So started doing that stuff, which a lot of it was what they call hustling. So every morning, if you're hustling, you drive to the stunt service on your bike or your car, whatever you had. At the stunt service, you would have a book of all the shows that were shooting in LA. Back in the early 2000s, there was tons of shows still in LA. So you go through the book, you see what show you haven't hustled in a long time or what coordinator you haven't met. You write down all the information, you get in your car on your bike, and you drive to the set.
Wow.
Once you get to the set, sometimes it's a closed set, so you have to sometimes figure out a way to sneak in. Or if it was on a stage like Paramount, you'd have to like hop fences.
That's nuts, dude. So it's very entrepreneuring.
Yes.
Like, you are not, it's not like you're being served on a silver platter. Like, here's Antal, the stuntman. You have to go, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, and
so it takes tenacity, it takes focus, not giving up.
Yes.
Did you feel periods like where you wanted, like you felt like this ain't, I'm not,
Absolutely.
4 years is a long time, dude.
It was. Absolutely.
Are you doing like a side job?
Jobs. I was like bartending, valet parking cars. And somewhere in that 4 years, I started doing some commercial work as well.
Okay.
Found a commercial agent, so I would get auditions and things, here and there, and I would book some things here and there, commercial wise, and that was enough to like keep me going in the business.
And like, was there a thing of just getting comfortable in front of a camera?
There is that.
Yeah, there's that probably aspect.
Yes, definitely. So I did some classes for that as well along the way. And then I guess after 4 years, it would be like one job would come along every 2 months.
Okay.
I would get a small gig doing whatever. I think my first stunt job was on a show after the commercial stuff on a TV show called Numbers.
Okay.
Where basically I just had to shoot a gun and dive over a couch. It was like tiny, weird stuff like that for a long time. Like, just come in, like get shot and fall down. I do one of those every little while and then slowly started building up from there.
So just to dive into the craft a little bit.
Yes.
Getting shot and falling down.
Oh, there's an art to it.
Yeah, because you could you see those old timey movies where they like oversell it.
Yes. There's a whole art form to what we call reactions.
Yeah.
And back when I was training more, there'd be we'd go in and train 6 days a week. And part of that was like our reactions to different things.
Interesting.
Reactions to a gunshot, reactions to a punch, reactions to a kick. And then you start tying in, you start adding mechanical elements to that, ratchets and devices that will move the body in certain ways, and like how to work with the ratchet or whatever device you're using.
And some directors probably have a vision for how those reactions, if it's like a little more like unreal, like they want it to be dramatic, or they want, and then they would just are the directors working with you, or how does that?
Sometimes,
I know we're fast forwarding a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Sometimes the directors will come right up to you and tell you what they want. Okay. Sometimes it depends. Every show is different. Every crew is different. So sometimes you have those directors that are really outspoken and they're super cool. They come up to you. J.J. Abrams, perfect example.
Yeah.
When I did the second Star Trek, he would always come up after we do the gag and like shake my hand and say thank you.
That's awesome.
Like, hey man, that was really cool. I love that. This, and that. Yeah. Then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where they sit behind their people at Video Village. They never come out and talk to you. And then your info is relayed through like a series of people. You see one guy talk to this guy, then this guy talks to that guy, and the assistant comes and tells you what to do. Okay. And,
so like one frame of reference that maybe some of us have is like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
Like when Brad Pitt's character, they're just like the actors are doing their thing and the stuntmen are just kind of hanging out.
Yep.
Even waiting. Is that kind of like the hustling what you're talking about? When they're just like waiting on set to like be needed. They're not sure if they're going to be needed.
That's a little yes and no exaggeration. If a show, basically what a coordinator will hire, whatever the personnel he needs for that show for that day. Sometimes, yes, it does happen where like there's stuff planned, like a scene, whatever it is, and they don't get to it, or they're saying, we want to have 4 stunt guys here in case we want to make this a little bit bigger or smaller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yes, that does happen to where you're hired, you're on contract, but then the coordinator will come up to you and say, look, this is a maybe type situation. You guys are here, you're being paid on contract just in case they want to make this bigger or some type of change that happens throughout the day.
Yeah.
But then the hustling thing, yes, people will wait to talk to the coordinators too, like on the side, and wait for the coordinator has a few minutes to shake hands, say, hey, I'm so-and-so. And
cool.
So yes, there's some truth to that for
That's
sure.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So reactions. So you train reactions, and then there were kind of. Has there been times in your career when it's like the reactions like a little more real than you want it to be? Because it like.
Absolutely. Yes.
you really get punched or something.
Oh, I've been hit many times. I've hit one actress as well on accident, which was a terrible time, but yes, it does happen. When you're doing fights and things like that, you're swinging, you're trying to, basically you're giving all your power into these punches, making it look as real as power or kick, whatever it is. So occasionally people aren't where they need to be and things happen. Especially with riding ratchets and things like that. There's only so much input you can do, and then the machine's taking you for a ride. Yeah, man,
there's so much fun stuff.
There is.
So, is there also an aspect where the stuntman? This is again developing down the road a little bit, where because the actor, there's like probably this like interplay where the actor's doing some stuff,
yep,
and then the stuntman's doing other stuff,
yep,
and that depending on the actor, it probably ebbs and flows, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's some actors you can't get them out of doing a stunt. Somebody like Channing Tatum, unless it's life-threatening, he's doing it. Yes. And that's his policy. Yeah, and I love that. And I've done 2 shows with him, and I tell him, I just show up and I know his program. I say, hey, look, dude, here's what it is. I'm happy to do a little demonstration for you, whatever you want. If you want to do it, I'm happy to do it. But I know you, and this is how we worked it out. Yeah.
So in that role, let's say in that role, are you a bit of a consultant then for reaction for like some of that coaching?
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
I'll give him coaching. A funny story that's a little bit embarrassing, but it's what it was. We did a show called Jupiter Ascending, where his character had jet boots, but the way that the Wachowskis, the directors, wanted to illustrate this was the jet boots had to be basically he would lift off the ground and start to skate like a hockey player.
Yep.
So they're like, the perfect thing is rollerblades. So for a month, I had to teach Channing how to rollerblade.
Okay.
So it'd be him and I rollerblading down the halls of Warner Brothers in England.
Wow.
Getting ready to do this
now,
stuff.
is that something you did recreationally or something you trained, is that like one of the tools you want to have in the box?
That was from hockey, from growing up.
Okay.
In Michigan, we play ice in the winter, and then we'd be roller in the summer. So it was something I had, and it's funny, you get calls from coordinators like, hey, look, I have this show. Here are the broad strokes. You got to be able to skate. You got to be able to do this wire work. You got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's always a mixed bag of like, they'll call and say like, if you're going to double this guy, here's the big gags of the show.
Yep.
Are you comfy doing this, that, the other? And that show happened to have rollerblading included in it.
You're like, got it nailed, bro.
Yeah. Yep. No problem.
So fun. So you're teaching him how to rollerblade?
Taught him how to rollerblade for like a month, and he actually was great. And then he did most of it himself on the day.
What's the embarrassing part of that story?
The rollerblading. So, yeah.
That's classic. So we have this interplay where what about like when it's time for you to take over, you jump in the stunts. Is it typically like the actor and you are like, or is a lot of like more camera editing magic where they,
as in like where you see me as opposed to the actor?
Yeah.
It's a mix. Yes. Usually, like with certain actors, certain shows, the way every show is different, but I've done shows to where if you're not seeing the actor's face, it's always me, because we'll get into scheduling stuff to where it's like, okay, we're going to have this actor, whoever it may be, for this period of time during the day, but we have all these shots to do. Some are wide, some are over his shoulder, looking at this, that, and the other. So we're going to use a double for this period of time. So the role changes from show to show. Sometimes I do more of that stuff with the stunts, sometimes not at all.
So that's a whole another thing, like doubling.
Being the double, yeah.
So you're actually in scenes that are non-stunty.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay,
depending on the show, depending on the actor, and depending on how busy that actor is and how much like scheduling time. Like The Rock has like 2 dialogue doubles, 2 stunt doubles.
Wow.
And it's a mix of all those guys to make one of his movies. You know what I mean? Because he's a very busy guy.
Right, for sure.
this, that, and the other. So it depends on the show. Everyone's
cool.
different.
That's cool.
It's interesting stuff.
So what are some other, like, okay, one other question. How about like specialization? You said like rollerblading, whatever, fighting. Are there definitely like moto guys and drift guys and fight scene guys? And in the industry, will you have even fellow stuntmen coaching you on like a particular thing that maybe you're not strong at?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely, the more the business grows, I guess the more room opens up for specialist type people. It's still good to have all the skills in your bag, everything that you can do. But, like for instance, on the third Star Trek, there was a moto scene where I was doubling Pine, has to be on a bike, and he has a hologram device, which actually makes it look like there's like 4 or 5 of them riding these bikes. Mm-hmm. So they brought in 2 specialist riders. One was more of a stunter, one was a freestyle moto guy, and me. So it was a mix of the 3 of us, depending on what the gag was. We had a couple big jumps that the freestyle guy did.
Yep.
We had some other stuff that they used the motorcycle stunter to do, and then they had stuff that I did.
Interesting.
And it was every day. It was like, okay, we need these shots. So it was 2 Canadian guys and myself, and it'd be a mix of it. And then if it was just me, then yes, I definitely would listen to the other guys. They're the pros at that particular thing, and they'd tell me, do this, do that.
How? What is do you have like a favorite thing you like? Are fight scenes fun?
Fight scenes are one of my favorite things.
Really?
That's how I started in the business.
Amazing.
It's great. It's a great time. I come from a wrestling background and some MMA stuff. Never competed, but that's how I broke into business. Still my bread and butter. I still, the majority of the calls I get are to do fights, and I love it. It's amazing.
How about like, do you have to like into the training world? Do you have to do like firearms training so you look natural with a weapon, like that kind of stuff?
Yep. Any type of training that takes place in movies is what you need to know. You know what I mean? And from a fight standpoint, every show you go to, there's a fight choreographer or a coordinator. And every show, that guy is a different guy usually. And some guys like more of a wushu, flowy style. Some guys are just straight ground and pound. Some guys don't want any martial arts. Some guys want all kicks. Yeah. So you have to be able to go
and will they
that.
coach you on that?
They'll say like,
the
hey,
kicks, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
And like in a typical scene like that, there's 2 stuntmen, right? Or like in a fight scene?
A fight scene, there can be,
or is it just
as many as there can be
But
tons.
it's that, like when you typically see a fight scene, it's like a lot of stunt people are involved.
Yes.
Men and women.
Yes. Yes. There's, for an average scene, I don't know, let's say it's just a one-on-one fight. Well, for that fight, you have the choreographer, you have the trainers, you have various whoever, you have people that are helping out with pads or this or that, or if there's ratchets involved, then you have a rigging team.
Yeah.
That come in. So, yeah, it's pretty.
That seems. How about like a big bar fight scene? Like
those are the most fun.
Yeah.
You're just throwing haymakers and like diving over tables.
So how does that work?
Like,
'cause some of those shots are awesome. There's like, especially like in the old Western movies, there's like a lot of fighting happening. Some of it not the focal point of the shot. Mm-hmm. Does everyone know kind of what they're doing, or is it like designed to be a little chaotic? And
for the most part, everyone knows what they're doing. So if you think about a big bar fight like that, a lot of times what they do is the people that are kind of in the background, they'll have like a 6-move routine. Okay. And on action, the 2 leads, usually, unless you're doing a big oneer or a long take, it's usually like 5-6 seconds. It's like, this, that, the other, whatever, cut. So in the background, those people have like a routine, and they just run through the routine. They'll do the 6 moves, they'll turn around, they'll do-si-do. Yep. Do it again, do-si-do, do it again.
Interesting. So that's why it is like core. It is. You can't just do it different every single time.
Right.
Interesting.
It's definitely choreographed. And there's different levels of that too. Sometimes, yes, if it's a huge, like we did a show called Outlaw King in Scotland, where it was the English Army versus the Scottish Army, and it was horse charges colliding and people. Then in that case, yes, you'll take it in waves where the lead characters are here. You'll have 5 to 10 guys just right around the leads that have choreography. Then you have the next wave of people that are not so choreographed. It's just like, okay, guys, 3 move beats and just kind of move in and out and make it look messy.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, because how much of that, like, in some of those epic, like I saw that movie, it's a great movie.
It was good, did a nice job with it.
Yeah. They like those are big. How much of that is like on the periphery? Does it get CG?
Periphery, it depends on the show. Some and the director, you know what I mean? But for that, we had, gosh, maybe like 300 total. But
That's
it looks
crazy.
like thousands.
I know, but 300 is a lot.
That was a good amount. Yeah.
And they're all like doing something, and like those, like maybe a far out shot.
Yeah, on something like a wide, we're all doing something, and then they'll replicate us kind of in the CG world.
But it's still like 5-6 second clips. It's not like 2 minutes. Just kind of do your thing.
I think on those on Outlaw King, we did do some like minute long pieces.
That's gotta be rad.
Pieces. Yeah, it was fun. It was all
That's
in the
dangerous. Like I know like the weapons aren't like sharp swords. You know.
No. Oh yeah, guys were getting hurt.
You have to.
You know? Yeah, it happens. Guys are falling off horses, and you know it does happen. It's part of the deal.
That's awesome. Talk about your kind of like training regimen. So you got, how do you stay fresh? How big of a part in your career and life is just training? And
it's a huge part. At this point, I've been doing it 15 years. To be honest, it's not an every single day thing for me anymore.
Right.
Now it's more like specific for me. I have a drift car. I'll ride my dirt bike. I try to ride my dirt bike once a week just to keep those skills fresh.
Yeah.
I'll try to take my drift car out at least once, twice a month.
What's the drift car, dude? Let's dig in. We are
1990 240 SX.
Great drift car, right?
Great drift car. Awesome. It's a very popular one.
Do you have, I can't, forgive me, drift people out there, but like there's a setup, like you have the handbrake.
Have the handbrake.
But there's a setup where you use the existing calipers or you have additional calipers.
What we did, a guy named Jeremy Fry, who's an amazing driver, set up my car, regular handbrake, but then also a standalone hydraulic that only activates the rears.
Yeah.
So we actually cut into the lines
Yep.
and made that system just for the rears.
Okay.
So you have that option.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we drive these nice, I guess, drift cars as practice and things like that, but then you get on a set and you never have anything that nice unless it's the lead car that's been really set up.
Right.
So it's good to work with all different types of stuff because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Do you get out and drive? So you have your drift car, but do you also like just get out in a, I don't know, like a regular old BMW and just go mob it?
Absolutely. Yeah, and then there's people that come up. We have a group that goes, and some have the old LTDs, the Crown Vics.
Right.
So we'll all swap out in and out. You
Okay.
know, use those and just learn as much as you can.
But on set, like it might be a completely unique car to you.
Could be, yeah.
So do you get time in the car to like go, I got to learn this a little bit?
You do. If you're that guy that's like, let's say you're doing a show, Baby Driver, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the lead driver, then absolutely. That time is taken. The car is set up very well.
And are there multiple cars? Like sometimes
Yep.
if it's like an iconic kind of vehicle, if the car is a part of the, like in Bullet, like the Bullet Mustang, there was quite a few of those.
There's quite a few of those. Yeah, definitely. In case one gets stuffed or there's mechanical problems.
Have you had that ever in like a driving thing where you've wrecked the car?
I have not wrecked one, only because I don't know if I've been in that lead car position.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those are usually reserved for the guys that are very, very high level drivers.
Yeah.
A guy like Jeremy Fry.
Which is the thing, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, dude, you see like videos on YouTube or whatever of like just amazing driving. But you've got to see
stuff.
it like up front. We're like, dude, how do you do? Because you're probably a good driver.
I'm a good driver, and then there's the next level of driver.
Which you look at like, dude, how did he do that? It's
Absolutely.
like so precise.
Yes.
They're so tight, like connected to the machine.
Yes.
I love that.
That's what I aspire to be at some
Yeah.
point. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. How much do you like on your drift car? How like, what is an average month of like that you like to have seat time?
How much time?
Yeah, like
when we go out, so we'll go up to Willow Springs is a place that's popular here.
It's a dream.
I'll try to get there 8. I'll try to do 4 or 5 hours in a day, you know. It's a full day of your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Driving all that stuff. And then I have the car stowed in a garage. It's close to here, but yeah, it's a bit of a deal. It's a day.
How's the car holding up?
Good. It's great. Thing's awesome.
Because it's like, I think you said it's like 300 horsepower or something too?
Yeah, it's somewhere, I think 310, something
So
like
not
that.
over, because some of those drift cars are like 500 horsepower.
500, 700, 1,000.
Yeah, and the more horsepower you get, the more like temperamental the motor gets,
Sure.
the more stress, like probably brakes more.
Yeah, definitely. a lot more maintenance. That car for me is perfect.
It's
It's like a little go-kart. It doesn't weigh anything. Everything's stripped out of it, and you can do
so fun.
exactly what you want to with it. Yeah.
Have you taken your son and
We
daughter
have,
out?
yeah. We went to a place called Grange a couple months ago, and that was their first time in
They
a
love
drift
it?
car. Yeah, they had a great time.
It's fun, dude.
Put them in the 5-point helmet, the whole deal.
Yeah, I got to drive in one. There was a Kenda tire like launch event in Vegas,
Okay.
and they had a couple. I can't remember their names. Sorry about that. But anyway, they were good drift drivers, and it was a lot of fun, man. They're so much fun.
Oh, it's amazing. There's some guys that are just insane with these cars.
And like the tandem. Have you done any of the
Yes.
any tandem
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
That's really fun.
It is. Definitely.
You're getting out on motos.
So my routine now, 10 years ago, it was train every day. There's a very well-known stunt gym down the way in Inglewood called 8711. They're
That's
huge.
interesting.
Yes, they're huge in the business. So 10 years ago, I was at 8711 every single morning, 7 to 9, 2 hours a day, taking instruction from two different guys, Chad Stahelski, JJ Perry, who are now both very prominent guys in the business. All fight stuff, 2 hours a day every morning. Then after that, it was the gym, it was weights. After the gym, it was some other type of training, whether it was going out and doing some stunting on a street bike or taking our dirt bikes out, whatever. Very regimented constantly. And then in between those things, it would be squeezing in time to hustle and go network and things like that.
Busy, man.
Busy. Backed off from that a hair.
Yeah.
Now it's more specialized stuff. Like I'll moto, I'll drive my car. I still kick and punch. I try to get once, twice a weekend with a training partner just to keep all that stuff fresh.
Do you have so let's say a guy like Channing Tatum who wants to do his own stunts. You're kind of coaching, but are there specific people, not stuntmen, who are or stunt women, like stunt people, that are
Good catch.
safety riggers, like that are doing the rig, like when there's wire work and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
Is that, or like rappelling? Is that you, or is that there's someone specifically for that?
So here's an example on a show like 22 Jump Street. Okay,
Yeah.
we had a piece to do where Channing and Jonah jump from a building to a helicopter skid. They hang on the skid. The helicopter takes them over the city of Puerto Rico, which they used for some other thing. The helicopter's trying to buck them off, and then they get to a certain point. Channing pulls a grenade out of his shorts, throws it in. They let go and fall.
Okay.
So for that whole sequence, there's two doubles, but then there's a whole rigging team, like a 5-person rigging team. So like each situation's different. I'll get in the wires and I'll show them what we're doing.
Yep.
It was a combo of practical with a real helicopter and green screen.
Yes.
So it's a mix. But yes, there's always like a rigging coordinator whenever there's people hanging in lines or things like that will take charge in those situations.
And like when so like in a scene, like when the actor wants to do their own stunts, there's probably stuntmen doing it before they do it, right?
Yes.
To test it.
We test everything.
Okay, that's
Everything gets tested, because you think about it, if someone like Channing gets hurt,
Right.
or even something really easy, a black eye, anything
Right.
like that, it's tough for production to
Right.
continue with their schedule. So that's part of it too. Is like, I'll tell them sometimes, or I'll talk to people about things. It's like, look, we all know you could jump off that roof and just land flat on your back. It's like, but we need you to do other things that are more important.
Right.
So I'll just do that for you.
Right.
That way, if I get tweaked, it's
And how
no big deal.
often does it go exactly to plan?
Pretty often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me.
Pretty often.
So,
Because
like-
it's so rehearsed. We try and take as many safety precautions as we can. We rehearse until it's super dialed. And then if the actor wants to do the stunt, we'll bring him in and we'll start him small. We'll say, okay, here's a little test of whatever it is. Do this, then we'll step him up to this level, and then do the full gag.
Like
if
you
you're
showed me
comfortable with
this little clip from was that like Terminator or something like that, where you're
Transformers.
Transformers.
Yes.
So like something like that. So this scene, if we could just describe it, it's like an explosion scene.
Yep.
And you're like spinning through the air.
Yep.
From the impact of this explosion.
Yes.
Like someone dreams that up.
Yep.
And then they go, okay, Antal, let's strap you in and try it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it works?
That's basically how it works, yeah. And if you're lucky, I wasn't that lucky on that day because I didn't get as many rehearsals as I would have wanted. That's where the experience comes in. But yeah, so in that situation, Michael Bay's directing. And what he likes is just to see wild stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And he'll tell the coordinator, I'm going to blow some stuff up over here. I just want to see, bodies flying everywhere. Sure, no problem. So we set up this stuff and we give them like options of things. And that ratchet was I think it was a double wrap.
Yeah, which is...
So when you get into ratcheting, basically you're just moving a body with a device, a pneumatic air ram, basically. So you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. When you wrap the wire around yourself, you can just do straight back. You can do quarter wrap, all the way to double to 3 to whatever you can handle. So that happened to be a double wrap, and then we were timing it off of an explosive to make it look like the explosion had pushed the body through the air and whole deal. So,
but it still has to be that moment, like, oh crap, here we go.
Oh, it's every time. It's every time. Yeah, and that's the fun part too, though. Sometimes the nerves and the whole deal, and right before.
Who knows, like, how, like, okay, it's one thing to go, okay, this thing's wrapped around me twice, but how rapid is it accelerating? How hard is it pulling? How far is it gonna? How far am I gonna go?
Right. So we try and make that as safe as we can. But yes, there's always those unknown things, and there's thinking on the fly when things happen. You start to feel, if it doesn't feel like the test, all of a sudden your brain's got to switch and be like, okay, how am I going to react to this and save my body?
Yes.
Which does happen.
And like, not, because I could see like in a scene like that where you go like, oh, like, because the natural, you're trying to act like it's not natural, like you're not prepared for it.
Right.
But like normal people would be like, oh, here we go. Like,
and
then it looks terrible.
Right.
So you have to be like,
yes, there's an art form to making it look out of control, but being in control.
Yeah.
Yes.
And and also like, you don't want to needlessly get hurt.
Right.
Is it a thing like back in the 60s and like, I don't know if they call it the golden era of the stunt age.
The all or nothing days.
Were there a lot of like dudes getting hurt? And
sure. Yeah, there's there's a guy named Lane Levitt who used to tell me stories. Lane has advanced a lot of the equipment in the industry quite a bit. He's a really smart guy. For like just one example is a ratchet. Now with a ratchet, there's so many different inputs you can give it to make it faster, slower, decel, acceleration out of the hole. All these different things you can do with dials and air and everything stuff. Back in the day, there's one speed. You just hit a button and you're yanked out of your clothes.
Yeah.
And if you didn't do it, you weren't getting the job. You know what I mean? So yes, all the safety stuff.
And the horse stuff seems dangerous too. Like when you're
super,
because you're like, it's a living animal. That's hard to control.
Yeah, horses is not my deal. I'll be the first to admit. Like, I'm good with the horse stuff. Right. Not my thing. There's guys that are amazing at it. I let the pros do that stuff.
Yeah, is there like, so for example, if you're kind of doubling for a particular actor, and it is like, oh, here comes a horse scene, you'll be like, sorry, bro, like, let's call in someone else.
Absolutely.
And you'll actually proactively recommend that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell the coordinator if I know that's what's going to happen. I'll be like, look, I'm not a horse guy. I'm happy whoever you want to bring in to double whoever it is.
Yep.
100%.
So, backing up a little bit, so you got out of stunt school, you spent 4 years kind of hustling. What is like the dream of the stuntman? Do you get connected to like an organization, a team? Like, what is that kind of behind the scenes?
There is that. So right now I'm a member of Brand X Stunts. That was a dream, so to speak, of mine ever since I did a show called Knight Rider, the remake of Knight Rider.
Yeah. Okay? Was Hasselhoff on that?
I think he tried, but no, they didn't let him go. This is a guy named Justin Bruning.
Okay.
Who took...
Was that a movie or a TV show?
It was a TV show.
Okay.
Took the mantle from Hasselhoff.
Okay.
We did one season, whatever. It was fine. Anyways, the coordinator was a guy in Brand X. So there's 4 main kind of affiliations or groups within Hollywood. Brand X is one of them. In my opinion, it's the most elite one.
Yeah.
You get a lot of... They're all amazing. All the guys are amazing, whatever. But Brand X is something special to me. And if you look at the membership of Brand X, the guys that are in there are just top tier in whatever aspect of stunts there is. You know what I mean? So I was invited to come in 3 or so years ago. And the idea of the groups is not only there's philanthropic stuff that we do in the industry, but just trying to raise the industry as a whole, you know what I mean, together through whatever means that we can do that.
Yeah, that's good, man.
You know? So
how is like, have you seen in your time, because like actresses do stuff too.
Sure.
Like women stunt women.
Oh yeah, there's 2 awesome stunt women groups as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Stunt women are.
So they have like
gnarly.
their own like little
They have their own kind of organizations.
Yeah,
like
that's
groups, right. That and it's the same idea.
Yep.
Try to keep things positive and try to lift each other up with these groups.
Yeah,
and
it's awesome.
It's a think tank, and it's a action committee. It's all kinds of things. Just raising the industry up as much as best as we can. Man. So yeah, but there's a lot of gnarly stunt women out there.
For sure.
So yeah, worked with a bunch of them over the years. They're all awesome.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like they have. You probably get to the point. Is it another kind of goal or dream in the stunt world to get to be like a consistent double for someone?
It's definitely
build a relationship, and it's
it's definitely a goal. So the ladder that I've come to know basically is your performer gets a double. Some people can use that position to then start assistant coordinating, which is what I did.
Okay.
So I've been doubling Chris Pine for 6 years now.
Yeah.
And he helped me get to an assistant coordinating position on the last show that we did.
Cool.
And then from there to coordinate the show. And then from there.
So that means you're working with all the action stunt, all the stunt people.
The whole stunt department as a whole.
Yeah.
Yes. Helping the coordinator, helping hire the people, helping train, whatever it may be. And then from coordinating, a lot of guys like to step up to what they call second unit director. Now,
will you coordinate on a show that you're actually like doubling, or is that you tend to not do that?
You can do that.
Yeah.
You guys have done that. It's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And what happens there, I think most of the times, is guys that are doing that, let's say you're doubling the lead and you're also coordinating the show, you can get to pick and choose what gags you want to do, and then you can hire another double.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
so it
kind of
becomes kind of cool. Yeah, that way.
Did you work on like Wonder Woman?
I did both Wonder Womans. Yeah. I was doubling Pine on both those. It was.
I love those movies.
Yeah, Patty did a really good job with it. All the people involved did a really awesome job. The second one should be pretty cool too.
Yeah. I can't because that was like supposed to come out, right?
It was, and it got pushed from the stuff that's going on right now. So I think October is what they're saying now.
How about like because I think
speaking of that was a driving situation that I got to do
with the bike, like there's the motorcycle scene for sure in like the first one.
There was a moto scene in that one, but the second one I got to do some driving in this old Peugeot.
Nice.
It's basically I don't know if I can divulge too much stuff,
but it's shot in the 80s.
Yeah, it's in the 80s.
So that got to be fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Did you get some 80s outfits going?
We had everything you could think of.
That's awesome.
Freaking fanny packs, members only jackets.
Yeah.
The white Nikes. We had all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah.
Cool, man. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'll have to watch you work. That'd be a really amazing thing.
Yeah. Hopefully Hollywood gets going here again soon.
Yeah, it's been tough. You guys been shut down for a while, right?
Since first week of March, really.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. Have you heard inklings of?
There is. So the Avatar sequels started going again in New Zealand.
Which ones? The Blue People Avatars?
Blue People Avatar.
Okay.
I think 2 and 3 they're doing back to back right now, and they did shoot some here, and then they just moved over to New Zealand. So they're going again, and
is that still James Cameron? Is he
still
doing
Cameron?
Cool.
Yeah. You're starting to hear some small inklings coming out of things trying to get going.
Because the other movie that doesn't get a lot of respect is Avatar: The Last Airbender, like the M. Night Shyamalan one.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that one.
I don't know. Such a great cartoon. Have your kids ever seen that?
We haven't explored Avatar yet.
It's awesome. Like my kids, they're all like out of high school basically. My youngest is 15. We just watched. My daughter got me the DVD set for Christmas, and we just watched the
old
whole
Airbender cartoons.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Nice.
They're really well done.
Nice.
Your kids would dig them. But so let's transition a little bit. If any other cool stunt stories come into your mind, feel free to share them.
Sure.
How is so we recently did a Moab trip, and Antal was packed up his Scout.
2 kids, a dog, and a wife. Yeah, in a Scout 80.
In a Scout 80, which is like the smallest of the Scouts,
yes.
And most kind of primitive as far as like wind noise, tunnel heat.
Yep.
In your truck, no AC.
No AC, no radio.
and just like no lumbar in the seats.
Nothing.
Like it's just.
But those surprisingly, those seats are very comfy.
I think so too.
My back nothing happens in those seats. I never get any pains.
So did you have to? This will go into the context that you guys are setting as a family. But did you have to convince? Was it hard to convince your wife to do that trip?
There was a little bit of dialogue. I think she tried to talk me into driving her own 2019 Yukon, following me.
She did for real.
And I think the kids were on board with that. Like, oh, we'll just follow you in the Yukon. We have our seats and our air conditioner, all this stuff. Nope, we're all going together.
I appreciate that pig-headedness. So let me ask, and I'll ask Ashley as well.
Sure.
But is she glad that you kind of pushed it?
I think at this point she
in
is.
retrospect.
Absolutely. I mean, man, the kids these days, they have so much stuff. It's like there's no adversity.
That's right.
I can't talk for everybody, but my kids.
That's right.
I want to put some of that into their heads, and like when we grew up, that's what we had.
Yeah.
We'd go on trips in an Econoline.
Yep.
With like maybe one bench seat, and then we sit on a roll of carpet.
Yep.
And there's tools falling around the back, and there's no AC, there's no nothing. So I want my kids to experience a little bit of that too.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, family had a good time.
We had an amazing time, and wouldn't trade that trip for nothing.
It was really magical, man.
It was magical.
And your family added so much dimension, just having the kids.
Thank you. Yes.
Luna and like
they loved it. They still ask about the scout team.
Yeah.
Where's the scout team? Like, oh, they're doing something else now. They'll be back.
But let's talk about, like, as a philosophy, what place or what value do you place on, like, taking little adventures, camping? Like,
to me, it's the most valuable thing there is. We do all this stuff and work to live. You know what I mean? Is my kind of philosophy. And to do something like that in that vehicle, which, I don't know, it's just, like you said, there's something magical about it. And the fact that you guys were able to give me this vehicle that is from the 60s, doesn't have any of these creature comforts, a throwback, but yet all the modern stuff, to be able to get us there and back, 2 days of off-roading.
25 miles per gallon.
25 miles a gallon.
That's awesome.
I don't know. It's hard to describe, honestly.
Try a little harder to describe it, because like I always say, like, you could have taken that same exact trip. You probably couldn't have done all the off-roading stuff in the 2019 Yukon.
Right.
But at least the trip there and back, and like take your family to Moab in the Yukon, still a good thing. But do you think it would have been as memorable as doing it in the Scout?
Absolutely not. Nothing.
Yeah, so what is that?
That's something that I don't know. It's that thing that it's hard to describe.
It is.
It's very hard, but it's something where this is the way it was, back in a certain period of time. This is the way people traveled. This is the way people did it back then when we didn't have all this stuff. And
so you think about that while you're...
I definitely think about it.
Because I do too.
Yeah. And where it has come, and remembering some of the history, an American-made truck, you know what I mean, that was pretty, in its day, those things were pretty rad as well.
And I always think about this, like just even going to the store, I'll just be like, sometime in the last 50 years, some other family just like ours was taking this thing to the store.
Yeah.
Like, and we don't know, your truck's a 63.
Yeah.
That's old, dude.
Yeah.
It's an old 50s plus year old vehicle.
Yeah.
What is that? 50?
What was that?
It'd be
50,
like
60. It's almost 60.
60, yeah.
Yeah, 60 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But in that 60-year history, there probably have been multiple families that, like, dude with his kids, like wife, just like taking on these adventures, and like you're a part of that story through that truck. Yeah. It is kind of cool.
It is neat to be a part of that, for sure, and be a part of that section of Americana at that point in time, and now to still have these around it's cool.
And seeing like I think both your kids fell asleep. Like, they're funny. Like they're on the trail in Moab, and like when you're wheeling, it's very much like a lot of side rolling.
Yeah.
And seeing your kids asleep in the back seats, their heads just going, gnarly.
Time. Yeah.
But that's magic, man.
It was.
And the kids, did they have, in their ability to communicate, did they complain a lot about the conditions?
Once. Never complained once. They loved every minute of it. And like you say, that experience, I don't know, we couldn't get that in the 2019 vehicle or whatever vehicle that's recent.
There's something interesting, like when you're comfortable, it's like say for example, when you're in your modern vehicle, you have the air conditioning set to 68, and you're like, it's a tiny bit too cold. Like, let's dial it to. I really need it to be 67 or 69.
Right.
But in like those tolerances, so like you're focusing on like little tiny discomforts. Like, is that wind noise? That's so annoying. Like,
yeah.
But in the Scout, everything is so visceral. Like the wind noise is nuts. Like, it's loud. Right? Did you find like it's hard to carry a little bit?
There's no talking at all. There's no talking, yelling. It's
you try.
Yeah, and so after about an hour being on the freeway going from Moab back to here, I just put earplugs in. If anyone wants to talk, it's like you take your earplugs out. What? So it kept all that stuff to a minimum. It's just really, you just had to focus on your surroundings. And like you say, it's very raw. The Scout 80 is very raw. You feel everything. There's no safety at all. You know what I mean? We didn't have a cage in it yet. I still haven't put a cage in. So you feel all that stuff, and it's really, like Bill said, they're kind of, I don't know, they're very minimal. Yeah. But I like that. I love that stuff. In the Yukon, you're sitting there, you're comfy, you don't feel the road as much
at all. Yeah.
Like, you're kind of just, I don't know, the comfort compared to the rawness of the Scout. I love the rawness, the feel of it.
Yeah, that's good. We often say, like, new vehicles insulate you from the outside world, from the road noise, from everything. They're insulative.
Yes.
Vintage 4x4s are they just connect you to everything. You're in it.
You're in it. Yeah, for sure.
And the earplug's a good idea.
Yeah. Or if you're on, and thanks to the Cummins, the thing, I can do 90 miles an hour in the 80 if I wanted to.
Yeah,
we're keeping it at a good 75, 80 the whole time. So yeah,
which is awesome.
Noisy.
Because that's one difference that you're not feeling with the old crowd. Like in those families in the mid 70s that were driving your Scout. Yeah, they were going 50.
Yeah, chugging along 50.
Yeah, second gear of actually, probably second gear, sometimes first gear, pulling grades.
Yep.
So yeah, having some of those modern touches, but just enough that you're not taking it completely out.
Just enough. Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about what are some more goals of the family adventures?
I mean, we're just going to keep doing this. And now that you guys have done these trips, we're going to definitely try and jump in on as many of these Scout meetups as possible. And, we did Big Bear. We did like a warm-up trip to Big Bear before we did Moab. Just to see if everyone
Wasn't it
could
hot
survive.
That weekend you did Big Bear?
It was pretty warm, yeah.
Okay.
But we all survived. We all had a great time, and just keep doing it.
Yeah.
We pick the next spot to go. I think, you're talking about Michigan or whatever coming up, or Wisconsin.
Yeah. Next year we'll do something awesome. But yeah, so Ashley, she's digging it.
She's digging it.
Good,
loving
man.
it. Yeah, having a great time. I got to teach her how to drive it.
Yeah.
Soon.
Because that's right. She drove. It was exciting. She drove the Terrible.
That was her first I think, driving an off-road vehicle, and her first time driving a stick. Was in that truck.
Yeah, and she did great.
She did.
It's a little scary doing it your first time.
She was a little nervous, but she had a great time. Yeah. Smile ear to ear when she stepped out of, whose truck was that?
Luke's, the
Luke's
Terrible.
Truck, yes,
yeah.
yes.
Killer. So also, what are some plans, because you can speak uniquely to this, Scout, you mentioned. So your Scout is 63. It's got a Cummins R28, 5-speed. So the drivetrain's like pretty sweet.
Amazing.
Yeah. What are your next? So you talked about maybe doing a roll cage, some safety. That's probably smart.
I probably should, at least a hoop. I don't know, just in case. I like it without it, to be honest, too.
Yeah.
I still haven't taken the shell off yet. Yeah. I'm planning on doing that very soon. But yeah,
that'll be fun too.
Yeah. You know what? The way it is now, I don't know. We did the roof rack that we talked about,
which was a must.
Yeah.
Like traveling with a family of 4 in a Scout 80 is almost.
There's not a lot of space in there.
You guys had to be pretty minimal. Like,
because minimal is just strip everything down, whatever. Right. Just
in that packing process, did you cut some stuff out?
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff, definitely.
That's what I find. That's another hard one. Like,
but then you get there and you realize you don't need any of this stuff. You just need like the tent and a couple basic things, a couple pairs of clothes.
And certain people, like I found, like my daughter, Liv, she's awesome. She's a good traveler, but she like always runs out of clothes. So I find myself like normally like a little bit of disclosure here. Like I normally like go, oh, I've been wearing these shorts for 5 days.
So I don't think I changed my pants all the time. I like wore maybe one shirt the whole time. I didn't care.
So you pack pretty minimally.
Yeah.
How was the camping setup? You guys ground camped?
We ground camped.
Pretty comfortable?
Yeah, it was fine. We did bring 2 air mattresses, so there was some modern comfort there.
So the kids had one?
Kids had one, and then we had one.
Yeah, cool.
Which was good. I think the next step is the rooftop tent. One of the FSR, what they're called. Yeah.
They're nice, man.
Yeah.
Again, like evolution of comfort. There's just like happy little mediums.
There's happy mediums, yes.
And you got to go like, because you still want to keep it, because you could embrace like, well, if we're going to get a rooftop tent, might as well just get a big Airstream, 27-foot Airstream. But I think there's
something just really cool about that rooftop tent, though.
Yeah,
something
it is.
minimal /
And like, because like, for example, one thing, just tapping into some of our earlier episodes. Like, so we stayed at a campground, which made ground like, because you just have kind of when you have a family of 4, you have like a bigger ground tent footprint.
Yeah.
When we remote camped, and that's something we want to do more of.
Us too.
That part is it's difficult to find level, smooth ground.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if you have a 1-person bivy sack or like a really small mountaineering tent, you can craft out a little space, but having a bigger, so that's where the rooftop tent
huge,
so nice, because you can easily throw some rocks under a wheel, like level out the truck, and instantly
and then you're
set up
like
too,
minutes.
bro.
It's
like that new FSR Odyssey you saw from Manny, and bring
throw it over, right?
Dude, it's 90 seconds is a long setup time.
Yeah, it's great.
And Heather and I, on this trip that we've been on, we've spent, just another funny story, proud of my wife, we've been on the road for like 10 days, 11 days.
This is this trip right now?
Yeah, maybe 12 or 13 days. I lose track of time. But she's a trooper. We stayed in that rooftop tent every night.
Nice.
And what's interesting is like the first 3 or 4 nights, I felt like the mattress was kind of stiff. And that's maybe one of the things of feedback that we get around the FSRs. Like they have kind of a firm mattress, which they kind of have to be because they're not super thick.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's kind of, but by like night 6 or 7, I was like, I found myself really liking it. Like I was kind of settled in and got used to it. But probably around night 9 or 10, my wife's like,
take me to a hotel now.
I had enough of this. But what's funny, so we got this hotel in Santa Barbara, like nice hotel, and it was great because it was an uplifter. She got to sit by the pool, like it was fun.
Nice.
Just like got to use a hair dryer, like
Yes.
just some little creature comforts. But that first night, I found myself going like, I'd rather be up in the FSR.
Yeah.
I missed the rooftop tent.
It's just like the truck. It's being out in it.
Yeah.
Being out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Just feeling all this stuff every day.
Now we're getting ready to head back home. We're going to be back in it. So
nice.
we got another couple days of driving. Well, good answer.
Jackson Hole, man.
Yeah. You just got back from a family trip there.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Highly recommend. Unbelievable.
And you guys just did like Airbnb or?
We did an Airbnb there just because it was her mom's 70th.
Nice.
And so we had her brother, fiance, the mom, and then some other guests kind of coming
That's
in
a
and
great
out.
thing.
Yeah, it was cool. But plenty of camping there as well. Awesome.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a trip out there.
Yeah.
Wyoming, Montana, like South Dakota, like all those are pretty unexplored for most people.
Yeah.
But really amazing.
Yeah.
Because like Moab, Arizona, like you think of like out west, like it's always the Southwest, but like the Pacific Northwest, amazing stuff. You get into like that mountain, central kind of mountain area, amazing, man. Amazing stuff. So we got lots of adventures to take.
We do.
I got to get on set with you one time, watch you work. That'd be a dream.
As soon as it ring comes back. Yeah,
right.
definitely.
Well, Antal, thank you very much. You don't have Instagram, so I won't ask people to follow you, right?
Ash does, but yeah.
Ash does. But are you going to ever create one for the Scout?
Maybe I should. I don't know.
It's kind of a thing.
When I was telling you, every time I go somewhere, it's an easy, at least 2 people, 5-10 minute conversation, what it is, the motor, the whole deal, you know, how you guys built it and this, that, and the other. So yeah, maybe I should.
Because you've already lived like in scout years, you're like ahead of you're advanced in age. Like,
Am I?
Yeah, you're taking like epic trips. Like,
Oh, yes.
a lot of people get their scouts and they just like get ice cream with them.
Right.
But you've already you've had it for what, a year?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you're already mobbing
No,
the thing.
I've only had it back since February 1st.
Yeah, okay.
We came and got it. So what is that? February, March, a few months.
That's impressive.
4 or 5 months. Yeah.
So keep it up, man. Keep setting the tone.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. We'll talk to you again next time.
Thank you.
Antal, thank you.
Appreciate it.